Hey guys, it's good to see you. It's Ryan here with DP Marketing.Services and author on the book on digital marketing for plumbing and HVAC contractors. Also the host of Blue Collar CEO. Hope you're doing good, staying safe, all those fun things. Coming at you a video, it's kind of outside of the ordinary for us. So if you follow us for long, if you've read our book or listened to the show, or whatever, you know that we specialize in marketing for plumbing, HVAC, home service companies in general. The companies we work with all over the U.S. and Canada, but the trick for us is obviously we do the marketing side, right? We help you get more leads and keep your guys busy. One of the things that a lot of times we coach the companies we work with on is the importance of making sure that their pricing is right. And a lot of times when I talk to guys, a lot of times we'll hear pushback of like, my market won't support that price or whatever. In reality, guys, there's a whole lot that you can learn by looking at other companies and then trying to take the best practices then and then applying it to your own business. So today I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a video using Apple. So the screen you can see in front of me, this is the very first iPhone, like how it's spec'd against the competitors. Now, if you were to go back in time, a lot of you probably don't remember. If you're younger, you probably have already always had the iPhone in your kind of technology bucket. But for a lot of people, the iPhone was a game changer. It changed the way people expect technology to work, all those things. And so when it first was announced, it was kind of cutting edge because the whole marketing pitch, and you can see the Steve Jobs original presentation, all sorts of places on the internet. But he did, it was a masterclass on sales technique, right? He did anchoring, he built the value, he did all this stuff before he revealed the price. And when he revealed the price by comparison in his pitch seemed like a deal, seemed like a no-brainer. But in reality, compared to the market mix of what was currently in the market getting market share at the time, the price was considered really high. So the first iPhone came out at starting price is $499, which was about half the price that Steve Jobs anchored that in his presentation. I'll probably link the presentation in this thing below because it is a masterclass on how to do sales. You could tell that's his showmanship coming through. But these are the other big players at the day. And so he spent a lot of time in his opening keynote revealing this new product, talking about how it's taking 3 different categories of product and collapsing it into one. So this is the one iPhone. It's a phone, it's an internet communicator, right? It's it's an iPod, it's all these things into one. And so it was a big sell to say, hey, we're taking away keys, we're taking away backgrounds, it was a default black background, we're taking away the ability to cut and paste, all these kind of things that we now assume are kind of a given. They didn't have that. It didn't have a flash on the camera, right? There's a lot of things that at the time this particular device didn't have. In technology development circles, we would call this a minimum viable product. This is the least amount of iteration you can possibly do to prove that the market will be interested in it. It's not got all the bells and whistles. It's just the bare minimum to actually assess market demand. So these are the big players at the time: the Samsung Blackjack, the BlackBerry 8800, and the Trio. And all these you saw in a lot of movies. They're very popular. I remember a lot of business people, very successful business people, using one of these 3 other devices. And when the iPhone came out, it was, on one hand, it was kind of scoffed because it didn't have the keyboard. The price was outrageous. And the screen size was huge, right? But it was a really small amount of storage. It was only 4 gigs of RAM. And at the time, you go, okay, so you're setting yourself to go $500. You won't be able to get more than $500 because guess what? You're already at the top of the price chain, right? A lot of you guys, when you talk to them, you're you want to get more for the jobs, you want to get more for this, and you're always feeling like you're competing with these guys who are lowballing your customers. The trick is, if you look at how Apple has positioned their pricing strategy over time, you realize that the way that you're thinking about the way you're pricing is probably broken from beginning to end. So I'm going to flip over to this other tab here, and we'll actually see. I'm going to move my head up here. You'll actually see this shows every new iPhone release and how they fit in the product mix. So you can see dollar signs over here. It's probably a little bit fuzzy because this graphic is really tiny. You can see where they started off with these products, and then as it goes up, right? It's more and more expensive. So when the first iPhone came out, cool, it's here. When they announced the 3G iPhone, guess what? They went up in price. Now all of a sudden the base level price kind of goes away. And you can see here's the Android average sales price. So Android's kind of been hanging out down here in general during this time. But Apple said, okay, we sold the previous phone for $599, so it's rounding to $600 again, and that's an odd even pricing technique, another sales thing. So now, because we're adding 3G, now we're going to make this next one more expensive, right? So now you still keep your previous top line is now your bottom line, and you have a new top line. Cool, and then you introduce a new product, and what you start doing is you see they start stacking the older generations down the pricing chain, because Android comes out, and Android's starting to suck up the bottom of their market share, right? They're trying to go after the cheap stuff, and Apple's like, hold my beer, watch what we do. So as they announce new products, they just start stacking the previous generation models below on the pricing chain. Eventually, they go up here to the 4S. So now this is, I don't remember what year this is. Is this like, I can't quite see, 2012, 2011? When the 4S came out, they changed the price again. They had a new top line. They kept the previous year's top line as a middle of the road. But now you're keeping the old 3GS. So you're going back like 2 years, and they're bringing that out as their budget phone. And you can see every year that time goes on, they keep this bottom price point somewhere. In fact, they even kind of dip down here on this SE32. The idea is every year they're adding more value to the top of the mix, but they're not abandoning the middle, right? You see they still keep the middle stacked, and they still find a way to suck up the stuff at the bottom. Here's the point. If you are adding value and improving on what you do and making everyone else around you feel like an inferior option, you can keep stacking on this for days. Apple at this point sells phones for over $1,000, which if you were to go back 10 years ago would be absurd. It would be absurd to pay $1,000 for a cell phone. And Apple does it all day long. But it's not the only thing they lean on, right? It's not only, hey, they're having an average sale price of $1,000. They don't have these average tickets of like $25,000. They're stacking the stuff on the bottom too. So a lot of times it's really easy if you're plumbing, if you're HVAC, if you're a home service company to go, I want these massive average tickets. I want these huge jobs. I want to avoid all the stuff on the bottom. And I totally get it. Because it's the default you're trying to push away from is getting sucked and competing down here, because it's really hard to win down here. What I'm challenging you to think about is there's plenty of room up top without you abandoning the stuff on the bottom. So you can totally go after the $20,000, $30,000 jobs all day long. Go for it, man. Knock yourself out. But if you're smart, you can stack up all the stuff in the middle so that no one else has a way to compete against you. If all you do is stay up high, all you're doing is exposing yourself to vulnerabilities in the middle and the bottom of the pricing mix. But what Apple does is they make it very, very, very hard to someone to compete on price, because they've got a product that will meet that price point. So now you're competing on different things entirely, like differentiation, but it's not going to be price. So if you, I think Apple is a great example to watch and learn from on how they price and why they do those mixes the way they do, and learn that if you're smart about how you price yourself and your business and your service, you don't need to compete on price ever, because you'll have a solution for someone of nearly any budget. It's not infinite, right? This bottom only goes so far and the top only goes so far too. However, you're going to reduce the opportunities that someone can compete against you on price and still maximize all your opportunities in the middle. Given that Apple is one of the most valuable companies in the history of the planet, I would go as far to say that this is working pretty well for them so far. But I would love to hear from you. If you start off looking at a pricing like this at $500, thinking like, man, that's a lot of money, no one will ever pay me for it, and then you start fashing forward to a really dense pricing strategy, it takes you up over $1,000, but you still flip all the middle of this, what does that make you think about? How does this challenge the way you go about pricing your own business? I would love to hear from you on this one, because I know a lot of times you guys think about this, and I see you in the Facebook groups asking about it. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. As always, guys, follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, leave your comment, because I want to hear, and we'll see you next time.